What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome to the PGL Team Builders. This will be the first ever team builder that I've done for the PGL. I'm so excited for this season, except for the fact that I face somebody that has an insane team matchup against me, so it's going to be hard right from the start, and I can already tell. But week one, I am playing True and the Boston Silk Scarves. Okay, so I'm going to start this off by saying I have a terrible team matchup week one. I realized this, and I went into this team having everything on it as starting off, and then I kind of just took things off by how I think I needed to build for this team. And actually, let's just go over his team real quick. He has Mew, Shaman Sky, Entei, Suicune, Umbreon, Mega Scizor, Tauros, Gardevoir, Manectric, Rhydon, Aromatisse, and Conkeldurr. So, looking at his team a little bit, the first thing I noticed on his team the first thing that I noticed about his team was the fact that his rock options and his rock setters are Mew and Rhydon. That's a little important because that means that rocks more than likely won't be on my side of the field. Because if he brings Rhydon, then that's easy for me to deal with. I have a bunch of ways to kill it on my team. And if he brings Mew with rocks, that means he's also going to have Roost. All Mews run Roost pretty much, unless they're like nasty plot and then they just want to get off a bunch of damages. But even then, they sometimes run Roost. So that means that he's running only 2 offensive moves. He cannot hit my entire team super hard with 2 offensive moves. He just can't do it. So rocks are not going to be a huge part of my preparations this week. I'm not worried about them. I don't think they'll be a big deal. However, looking at his team, he has Shaman Sky, Entei, Suicune, and Umbreon are 2 extremely fat walls that are both very important to get chip damage off on. He also has Mega Scizor, which is one of his 2 defoggers, which is Mew and Scizor. So again, if Mew wants to run rocks, it's more likely going to run defogs. It only has 1 offensive move. And Scizor, if he's running defog, it's more than likely not going to be Swords Dance. So Mega Scizor is crucial to get rocks damage on. So is actually Conkeldurr, because of the fact that I can actually demolish it with some of my physical attackers after it takes a couple hits of rocks. So rocks are extremely important in this game, like very 110% important in this game. So then looking at his team, he has some insane offensive power in Mew. Mew can be very strong if it's ran offensively, like Nasty Plot or Swords Dance or something like that, or Calm Mind. Shaman Sky outspeeds my entire team. I have no switch-ins to it. I can't even attempt to switch into it. I just cannot do it. He has Entei, which is extremely hard hitting. He also has Mega Scizor, which is very threatening if it's Swords Dance. He also has Tauros, which is pretty scary. And then last but not least, he has Conkeldurr. He also has a couple other threats mixed in there, but I'll get into that later on in the team. But he has some very offensive Pokemon, along with 2 stupid walls that are so hard for anybody to kill in Suicune and Umbreon. Sorry about that little cut. I had to go somewhere and do something. But basically, as I was trying to say, I don't have a lot to switch into as offensive threats. Like, I have decent checks to Entei, but he has ways around my checks that I'll go into later on in the team builder. Umbreon and Suicune, they're just so fat. They're so hard to break down, but I think I found a pretty good way to do it. So realistically, when I went into looking at his team, I looked at his offensive threats first, and I tried to figure out a way that I could handle some of them and wear down his walls. Because if I can wear down his walls a little bit, I can send in a really big hard hitter and clean up late game. So that's kind of the way I wanted to go about it. The first mon that I knew I wanted to bring was my Vaporeon. Now, Vaporeon is just very standard defensive with max HP, max defense, foreign speed, with Haze, Wish, Toxic, and Scald. Now, it might seem a little weird that I'm running no Protect or no Heal Bell or anything like that. However, this thing is not meant to be around the entire game. It's there to scare out Entei once, force him to take a couple turns of rocks damage, and then haze away Suicune's Calm Minds if I somehow manage to let it set up on me, which I don't think I'm going to give it the opportunity to set up. I'm not running that type of team this week. But it's very standard. It's mainly there for the Entei. Now, one thing that I think True is going to notice is that my Vaporeon has a very easy way to check his Calm Mind Suicune. So what he might do is he might actually bring Trace Gardevoir to trace the Water Absorb, and then effectively he has countered my counter. So that's why I'm running Toxic. I'm able to Toxic it, I'm able to Wish Stall it a little bit, I'm able to go into another Mon and kind of sort of chip away at it a little bit, and that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. I wanted to make sure that Gardevoir couldn't come in on me for free, and this way I don't think it can. I think it's very pressured with Toxic is up, and then I have a couple things that just threaten it out and can blow it back. So being able to force out Entei to take rocks damage, putting it at about 50% depending on what I lead off with, it would be really nice. Along with being able to Toxic his entire team. Like if I can Toxic Umbreon, yes, I'm going to be Toxicing myself, I'm okay with that, it's not a huge deal. Along with being able to Toxic the Suicune, forcing it to rest is very important in this game for a couple different reasons I'll go into later on, but it's a very unique Mon that I think will work out pretty well. It's able to maybe get off a Scald Burn on the Conch if he's not Guts. Same thing with the Scizor if he is Swords Dance, I'm able to haze away the Swords Dances. Tauros, if it's running mixed with Thunderbolt, it can't do a whole lot to me. It has to be like max special offensive, and then I can Scald, do a lot of damage to it. But Mew at the same time can kind of sort of hurt this thing, but again, if I can Toxic it, that'll be awesome. I'm okay with Toxicing myself this game. Shaman Sky gets a free switch in on this thing pretty much because I'm not running Ice Beam, however he does not know that yet, so that's really cool. At least I'm hoping that's the way it'll go. This thing doesn't need to do a whole lot, honestly. It just needs to be able to come in, get off a little bit of chip damage, and scare out Entei from running a hole through my team. So since I know that his Wall Core does very well versus me in Suicune and Umbreon, along with the likes of Aromatisse, I went with very offensive Volt Turn this week, and my first Mon that I'm bringing is Jirachi. Choice Scarf with Fire Punch, U-Turn, Iron Head, and Trick. Now, I'm running max attack 156 in speed. This 156 in speed allows me to outspeed Shaman Sky with my Choice Scarf. However, with the Trick, I do not outspeed Gardevoir, or I do outspeed Gardevoir. Okay, I had to double check it. I do outspeed Gardevoir. So if Gardevoir is not Scarfed, I still outspeed and I can still blow it back with an Iron Head. However, my goal is to find out what his switch-ins to Jirachi are. If his switch-in to Jirachi is Suicune, and he switches into it the first time, I'm going to trick it the second time, force it that it cannot set up on me, and if it does, it's locked into that setup, and then I'll be able to Iron Head flinch it to death or whatever, and he cannot beat me 1v1. So that's pretty much what I'm hoping there. Or if he's choice locked, I'll be able to Toxic him, and I'll be able to wear him down with Vaporeon. So that's that goal. Or if Umbreon is his main switch, and I'll be able to trick that, and then it'll be forced to go for either Foul Play or something like that, and then I can switch around it pretty well that way. But Fire Punch, U-Turn. Fire Punch is there mainly just for Mega Scizor. It also hits Shaman pretty hard. Ice Punch would hit it a little bit harder, however it does not OHKO. I'm pretty sure that was the calc I did. I'm pretty sure it does not OHKO. So I was like, if it's going to 2-hit KO it no matter what, Fire Punch is just a better play because I can hit Scizor very hard as well. I wanted to run Zen Headbutt on this thing, however I don't think I can afford it, so that kind of sort of sucks. But Iron Head just blows back Aromatisse, Gardevoir, this thing just hits his whole team very hard. Being able to U-turn out on things is also really important because it hits Umbreon super effectively, it also hits Mew super effectively, which is awesome. Entei is kind of sort of a free switch into this thing, however more than likely I'm going to be coming into this thing, I'm going to be clicking U-turn most of the time. And also, Rhydon can kind of switch in on this thing pretty well. I'm not preparing a whole lot for Rhydon because I don't think it's coming, like, at all, so I'm not too worried about that. But again, Iron Head flinches are a thing, and Iron Head also still hurts it, so that's really important with this. But yeah, that's basically this thing. It just is there to hopefully trick a wall or get some big damage off on the Shaman, because I will outspeed it, and Fire Punch does about 50%, so that's really important. The next Mon on the team that I knew had to come, like absolutely 100% knew had to come, was my Rotom Mow. Again, I'm running another Choice Scarf Trick Mon with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Leaf Storm, along with Trick. With 252 special attack, 216 speed, this outspeeds Gardevoir by 1 point with 4 in both defenses and then 32 in HP because 32 gives me odd number, and yeah, just makes sense to me. 32 gives me 129, odd number is important, and then I have 8 left over so I can throw 4 into both defenses because 8 doesn't change the number at level 50. Fun fact of the day. So, Choice Scarf with Thunderbolt, I'll be able to do a lot of damage to the Shaman Sky, like a lot of damage. Another thing that this allows me to do is this threatens out one of his walls that I want to trick into another one of his walls that I also want to trick. So this is how I'm kind of sort of hoping the game plays out. Jirachi is going to be my main lead, I'm hoping, and I'll be able to kind of sort of figure out what he wants to lead off with. If he wants to lead off with, say, something like Mew or Shaman or something like that, it'll scare it out, or it'll get some good damage off on it with Fire Punch, with U-Turn, something like that. Or if he goes into his Suicune, I'll get a little bit of chip damage off on it, and then I'll be able to go into Rotom, scare it out, go for a Volt Switch, get off a little bit more chip damage on the Umbreon, go back into Jirachi, U-Turn, and then force it to Foul Play, and I'll be able to get off some good damage off on it that way. That's what I'm hoping, at least. To the point to where I can get my rocks up and then force it to be in range of one of my final Mon's moves. So being able to just Volt Switch and Thunderbolt around his team is very, very good. If he brings the Manectric, I can't spam Thunderbolt or Volt Switch freely. However, I don't think it's going to be coming all that much. I think Shaman Sky, Mew, Entei, Suicune, Umbreon, Scizor, Gardevoir, Conk, and Aromatisse are all much more likely, so I don't think Raikou's, the Manectric is coming. But yeah, this thing is fairly self-explanatory. Basically the exact same thing as Jirachi, just hits very hard. I don't need Hidden Power Fire for Scizor because Thunderbolt still does a lot to it. And after one Fire Punch does about 70% to Mega Scizor, so Thunderbolt kills it off after that no matter what anyway. But that is basically Rotom-Mow. I'm really excited to use Rotom-Mow. I love Rotom-Mow. The next mon on the team is going to be my Hydreigon. Life Orb, U-Turn, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, and Flamethrower. Another U-Turner. 2 U-Turners and a Volt Switcher so far. Draco Meteor is there to just blow things back. I'm Life Orb, Dark Pulse, and Flamethrower. I can't touch his fairies, which is a little problematic. However, U-Turn is much more important because once Umbreon comes in, if I can get off a really good U-Turn on it and go into, say, Jirachi and U-Turn again, or go into Jirachi and Choice Scarf it, there's a lot of things I can do with it. So, Flash Cannon I think is a little, it's going to take a backseat to these other moves that I need to run. Draco Meteor is just very hard-hitting stab that I need to have on this thing. Dark Pulse does hit the Gardevoir pretty hard, so that's pretty important. And then Flamethrower is there basically specifically for Mega Scizor. Draco Meteor does a lot to Shaman Sky, so that's not a huge worry for me. I don't need to be hitting it with Flamethrower. Now, the EV spread is actually pretty important. I have 172 EVs in speed. This allows me to outspeed max speed. Oh shoot, what was it? What was this speed for? Give me 1 second. Actually, I think I messed up on the speed stat because since I'm not Choice Scarf, I was Choice Scarfed on this originally, but now that I'm Life Orb, I don't need this much speed to outspeed his Shaman Sky, so I could actually drop down a lot of these speed EVs because I really can only outspeed max speed Gardevoir, but Umbreon or Suicune is a little bit faster than Gardevoir, but he's not going to be running max speed on that. So I might change this up to make it so the speed is correct on this. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll have to let you guys know on that. But basically, I wanted to have 179 HP. The reason being, if you guys do not know, I've wanted to bring this little lesson to my channel for a very long time. If you're running a Life Orb Pokemon and you have 179 or 159 or something that ends in 9, you can get 1 extra Life Orb hit off if you do not take any damaging moves at all. If you don't get toxic, if you don't get hit by rocks, nothing, you can get 1 extra Life Orb hit off. And that is important for some things because if it's a revenge killer that just comes in and gets out, or comes in, kills, and gets out, it's okay. And if your opponent doesn't have up rocks, it really makes a difference. So I might fix the spread a little bit, but right now I do have 92 HP EVs, 244 because I wanted to have 179. I wanted to have it evenly, and I needed that speed for when I was Scarfed, but I'm not Scarfed, so I might change this up. But this is basically what I'm doing because it just hits a lot of his team super hard. He can't really do a whole lot. Oh, this was for Adamant Entei, right? So if you guys don't know why I speed crept Adamant Entei, this was also the exact same speed for Jirachi. So I can outspeed Adamant Scarf Entei if he wants to run Banded, but this outspeeds Adamant Banded Entei. The reason why I'm running trying to outspeed Adamant is because if he wants to run Extreme Speed or Sacred Fire, he has to be Adamant. So I'm able to outspeed it. Bob it with the Draco Meteor, it does a lot of damage. Even if he's Assault Vest, it still does a lot of damage because it's a freaking Hydreigon. But that is basically Hydreigon. I think it'll work out pretty well on the team. And now this is what all of this U-turn and hopefulness leads up to, and that is to drop in my boy Vmon and just clean up. Bolt Strike, V-Create, U-Turn, and I have Thunder Wave on it right now. I may change it to Zen Head, but I'm not completely sure yet. I haven't needed Thunder Wave at all, but at the same time, I haven't needed Zen Headbutt either, so I'm not 100% sure. I might change it for Zen Headbutt just for Conkeldurr, but I'm running the Expert Belt because I don't want to be taking Life Orb recoil. Not at all. No thank you, sir. So I wanted to be able to get a little bit extra damage along with not taking the recoil, so Expert Belt is just the way that my mind instantly goes to. Now, this thing hits his team extremely freaking hard. If I can get off one U-turn and a one hit of rocks off on the Suicune, it is 2-hit KO'd by Bolt Strike. If I can get off one U-turn with my Hydreigon or my Jirachi, or no, if I can get off one U-turn with my Jirachi along with one layer of Stealth Rocks, a Spadef Umbreon is killed by V-Create. If I'm able to get off a little bit of damage on the Mew, a V-Create kills it. If I'm able to get off a little bit of damage on the Conkeldurr, V-Create kills it. So if I'm able to just Volt Turn a little bit, get things whittled down just a tiny, tiny little bit, I can just clean up with V-Create. Bolt Strike also does a lot to Entei. Now, this is where I kind of sort of came into my problem. Say I have this team weakened to the point where I can actually OHKO Suicune with Bolt Strike, but I've gone for V-Create and I've killed the Umbreon. I have a minus speed, a -1 speed. So the speed on this Victini is to be able to outspeed, I believe it's a 24 invested in speed Suicune after a drop. So I can click V-Create on Umbreon, kill it, and then if Suicune is in range, I can then kill it with a Bolt Strike and still outspeed it. So that's what that speed is for. Max attack and then the rest in speed. So, I'm sorry, and the rest in HP. That's what that's for. U-turn again is just there for momentum if I send this thing in because I think it might threaten out something and I can U-turn again. It'll be really nice. Zen Headbutt, I mainly have it there just for Conkeldurr, but V-Create just hits everything very hard. Like very, very hard. And then if I'm able to Thunder Wave something, like say he wants to bring in his Shaman on this, which would be absolutely idiotic, I'm able to then Thunder Wave it, and that's pretty important. But this thing just hits so freaking hard against his entire team. There's nothing that wants to take a hit from this. So that's what this whole thing is for, and I really like the fact that I'm able to outspeed like a little invested Suicune after a speed drop, so that's pretty nice too. Now, the final mon on the team is going to be my Rock Setter, and that is Gligar. I'm running a Spadef Gligar with a little bit of speed EVs. I'm able to outspeed a 20 invested Suicune and taunt it so it cannot set up on me. I'm also able to outspeed an Umbreon and go for the taunt so it can't set up on me. And I'm able to go for the Roost or the Stealth Rock as well as U-turn. So this is another U-turn mon that I can just get a hold of and just get off good damage. No Earthquake, no offensive moves realistically because it doesn't need it. It's there mainly just to get up rocks. His whole job, get up rocks, taunt one of the walls, keep it from sitting up, and just get off damage on it with the other things. So Gligar is pretty simple this game. I really like the way it can work with as a Stealth Rocker. I'm not running Defog on it because, as I said before, his rockers are Mew and Rhydon. That's it. And if either one of them have rocks, good. Very, very good. If he wants to bring Rhydon for rocks, good. Leaf Storm from my Rotom just straight up demolishes it. Draco Meteor from my Hydreigon just straight up demolishes it. Scald from Vaporeon just demolishes it. It makes it so much easier for me to deal with, which is awesome. And then Rocks on Mew is just kind of good because then it's not set up and super threatening. So I'm really okay with it. But I like the way Gligar works for this team. I think it'll work out pretty well just to get up rocks. It's also a decent-ish check, somewhat, to Entei. I can switch in once and I can get up rocks guaranteed on Entei. I can also take one Seed Flare from Shaman Sky, so I'm able to guaranteed get up rocks turn 1 if I want to lead off with this thing, as long as it doesn't flinch me with like Air Slash or something like that. So that's really cool. This thing is just guaranteeing me rocks. I can also take one Ice Beam from an offensive Mew as long as he's not Life Orb, so that's also something that's really cool. So I'm able to get up my rocks if he leads off with that, or I can U-turn on to get off a little bit more damage and then just drop in my Victini and nuke something. So this thing, it kind of comes in really handy with the team, and I really, really like it. So real quick, I kind of want to go over what I think he's going to be bringing. It's actually easier for me to say what he's not bringing. He's not bringing Rhydon. Like, that's almost guaranteed. I don't think he'll be bringing Tauros at all. However, Entei is eh. He might bring it just because it hits extremely hard. Mew is eh. He might bring it, but Shaman Sky is a definite. Conkeldurr is a definite. Suicune and Umbreon I think are definite, but other people don't. Gardevoir I think is a definite because it can switch in on my Vaporeon for days and I can't touch it. And I also think Mega Scizor is a definite. So those are what I'm kind of sort of expecting, but what do I know? But that is basically going to wrap up the team builder for week 1 of the PGL. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below. Also, if you could, make sure to leave a comment letting me know what you guys think the outcome of the game will be. If you think I'm going to get blown back, if you think I'm going to lose, just let me know. I like hearing your guys' opinions. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.